Hey guys, Horace here, and today back with another video. I am updating one of my old videos, this one on the screen right here, and it is because the command does not work the same way, so I'm updating it to the new version of Fa. And guys, let's get right into it. To start, we just need a flint in our inventory. You're going to left-click the flint, and then it's going to open up a GUI menu. What we're going to do is we're going to hover over this book and right-click, and then we're going to left-click to select what shape brush you want. You can pick out whatever you'd like. I like the volcano, so that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to shift left-click to get this much larger. And then, of course, I'm just going to left-click. You can't really shift-click this one. And then you just go up to whatever size you want, and then you're going to put the push mode into a pull mode, and that's really all you have to do. Super simple, super easy. And then you're going to paste down some terrain just like that. Super simple, super easy. Now that we have our terrain pasted down, what we're going to do is we're going to select the entire thing using /pause1 and /pause2, just like that. Now that you have your entire terrain selected, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to replace the entire thing with whatever block you want. I'm going to choose 57, which is just diamond block. And then what we're going to do is /smooth. You can do this by hand, but for the speed of the tutorial video, I'm just going to use the smooth command. Here comes the part of the tutorial that gets a little bit more complicated, so please follow along step by step. So what you're going to do is you're going to look up rock textures. You can also look up a lot of other things that will give you nice textures. Generally, I'll just do rock textures and then the color that I want. So if you want a bluish tint to your rocks, then you just look up blue. If you want green, you search green, just like that. Generally, I'm just going to do rock textures. You find one you like, let's say this one, and you drag it onto your computer. Now that you have saved your image on your computer, we're going to go to imgur.com and we're going to go down to the images. Generally, you'll want to make an account so that you get lots of old textures that you can also use, but we're going to be using a new texture. So what you're going to do is you're going to click up here, add image. You're going to click here to browse. You're going to go to desktop, and then you're going to select whatever image you have downloaded onto your computer. You can do multiple of these. Then what you're going to do is you're going to click on this, and then you're going to go to the direct link. Do not, I repeat, do not copy this link right here, the image link. Only copy the direct link, which you can do by control copying or just clicking this blue copy button. Okay, now that we're back in Minecraft, we need to make a bindable tool, which is basically anything from the wooden shovel all the way down to the netherite hoe. I like using the diamond hoe for no particular reason. Then what you're going to do is you're going to do //br image, and then the image link, which is Control V on a Windows computer, and it's, I believe, Function V if you are on a Mac. I could be wrong about that since I don't generally use Macs. And then what you're going to do is the size. Generally, what you'll find on most servers is that you'll be limited down to a size of 100, which is fine, but generally the larger you can get, the better the image will look. Then you're going to basically just press enter. Now that you have bound your tool, now you basically need to do something very simple, which is /gmask, and then whatever block you are wanting to replace. I use the numerical ID, but you can also just use the diamond underscore block, just like that. Then you right click, and basically all of the work is done for you. Now you're going to run into a problem, and you can probably see it from afar really easily. You're going to have all of these unwanted blocks that make your terrain look a little bit ugly. So what you're going to do is you're going to do /pause1 on one side, fly up to the other side, and do /pause2. Super simple and super easy. Then what you're going to do is you're going to turn off your gmask with /gmask and then press enter, and then it automatically disables this. If you want to disable your mask, then you also just disable your mask by doing the same thing. I didn't have a mask on, so it's going to give me a little bit of an error. Then what you can do is if you know all of the IDs, you can basically just turn them to whatever you'd like. But generally the faster one is to basically just do hand while holding the block in your hand and then just changing it to whatever you want. Now, depending on your texturing, generally you'll have darker spots on your terrain, and generally what you want to avoid is just replacing it with a single color, because often that's going to make your terrain look even more chaotic. Generally, you want to avoid as much chaos as you can, so generally what I would do is I would basically just do replace hand and then a darker toned color, just like cyan terracotta, or you can also do the concrete light, and it will also give a nice, beautiful effect, just like this. And it's actually rather easy depending on what you need it for. And then you can get rid of all of the nasty blocks that you don't really want. Okay, now for a little bit of a demonstration on why I use larger sized brushes. Not only is it going to cover a much, much larger area, but the detail is also larger. Now, if you use a much smaller brush, I need to actually be holding the brush in my hand, what you're going to see is that the details are just a lot smaller. It also covers a much smaller area, which is okay. If that's all you have access to, then that is all you have access to. It's a very useful brush nonetheless, but generally I like the little bit of a larger detail. It's a little bit more refined. As long as you get rid of all of these nasty little blocks, you're going to do pretty well for yourself. Now I'm going to do something that I didn't do last time, and that's how to place your grass. Now, generally, I have been avoiding using grass because I think it's not as nice of a block. As you can see, I'm going to use the /br image surface, and then if you do grass, then that would be 2 or just grass _ block, just like that. And then with the size of 3, and then you won't generally set a Gmask because it will look a little weird. Now, generally, what this is going to do is it's going to give lots of icky double stacked things. Now, if you have the server to set to basically automatically destroy those, it'll turn into dirt. But generally, if you're on a building server, that won't happen. So there's a very, very specific reason of why I'm not really using grass anymore, especially in the newer versions of Minecraft. So basically, I have kind of generally transferred into moss block because it gives a really nice side texture along with a top texture, and it serves pretty much the same purpose. So you can be a little bit more chaotic with your grass texturing, just like that. It'll give you a little bit more freedom to do what you want. Now, I'm going to do this little bonus section because even professional Minecrafters make this mistake too many times. So I'm just going to cover it one more time to hopefully get this out of the system and hopefully know the proper procedure when it comes to pasting trees into terrain. So here's the most common thing. So generally what you're going to do is you're going to make the selection, and then we need to make a copy and paste brush with /br copy and paste, and then -r, which is basically just going to automatically rotate your brush. So generally what I'll see people do is they'll come down to the bottom of this tree and then simply copy. Now that I have my tree into my clipboard, they'll go to their mountain essentially, and then they'll just start pasting around. The general issue that you're going to have with this is that you're now going to have your trees basically overhang the side of your cliffs, and that generally doesn't look very good. So either you're going to have to spend a bunch of time extending this down, which is just not very, very useful, especially if you're trying to produce as many mobs as possible. So what you're going to generally do is you're going to make your selection. You're going to now basically come up the tree and then do your copy. That way, when you actually paste your tree, it's not going to overhang as much. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of overhang, but generally speaking, you'll have much, much less overhang over your terrain. And now here's another issue that I see a lot of the time. Generally, this comes with trees that have lots of dangly little bits and, I don't know, vines and stuff. So generally what people will do is they'll come in, let's select it up a little bit, and then what they're going to do is they're going to go paste that into their terrain. And here is the problem. It looks fine, but here's the problem. Let's go into GMSP real quick. So GMSP. Okay. So here's the problem that you're going to run into. All of these are going to just tear into your terrain, and it's going to look absolutely awful, especially if you're like, I don't really want this tree here more. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're basically just going to select all of these, different blocks, and you're basically just going to set them to 0 because you don't want them anymore and they're not useful to you anymore. And what you're going to find is an issue is that you basically just tore up your terrain for literally no reason. And now you have to actually go back and fix this by hand, because generally, if you want to use a brush, it's going to mess up all of this beautiful image brushed terrain. Now, the fix to this is actually rather simple. You just Gmask air, and now you're only affecting air so that when you paste it, all of these beautiful vines are not going to cut into your terrain at all. So if you want to now destroy this entire tree, with some commands, you now can do so, and it's just so much easier. I see this happen so much. It happens especially when you're cutting into your houses and stuff like that. It's just try not to do it. I forget sometimes, but generally, you'll want to make sure this step is followed to give yourself a lot of an easier time in the future if you do need to remove your trees. Hey guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy and you want more content like this, please do subscribe, watch these two videos, and I'll see you later. Peace.